All right, today we're going to talk about something really tough. It's that incredibly painful place in a relationship, the limbo. You're not quite leaving, but you're not really staying either. It's this quiet, grinding crisis. But I want you to know, there is a path through all that confusion. There's a way to get to a clear, honest decision.
So, does this hit home for you? On the outside, everything looks fine. You're performing the relationship, you're going through all the motions. But inside, man, it's a different story. You're just running this endless calculation in your head. Should I stay? Should I go? And it never, ever resolves. It just feels like you're trapped, right? And that clarity you're so desperately searching for, it just never seems to show up.
Yeah, and that quote just nails it, doesn't it? The slow and grinding agony of ambivalence. See, this isn't that big, loud crisis. It's not the screaming match at 2 in the morning. No, this is something quieter. And honestly, way more corrosive. It's this agonizing state where one of you, or maybe both of you, has been silently thinking about the exit door for weeks, maybe months, heck, sometimes even years.
Okay, and here's what's so fascinating and frankly a little terrifying about this whole thing. It's the numbness. You know, we all think that fighting is the worst possible sign in a relationship, but it's not even close. Anger, protesting, that stuff means the bond still matters. It means you still care enough to fight for it. Numbness? That's a whole different beast. That's a full-on biological shutdown. It's your nervous system basically saying, nope, we're done, this is not safe anymore, and it's just trying to protect you from feeling any more pain.
So let's dig into that. Let's really get into the mechanics of this agonizing state. I mean, how does this happen? How do two people who once felt like home to each other end up feeling like complete strangers?
Well, there's a name for this dynamic. It's often called the waltz of pain. And the most crucial thing to understand here is that word co-create. This is a cycle that you build together. It becomes this really predictable pattern of hurt and reaction that honestly just traps both of you. So this isn't about pointing fingers. It's not one person's fault. It's the system, the dance that you're both stuck in.
And this slide just lays out the two roles in that dance so perfectly. On one side, you've got the protester, or the relentless lover. Their biggest fear is abandonment. So what do? They pursue, they criticize, they protest. But what's really happening is they're making a desperate bid for connection. But that action directly triggers the other person, the withdrawer. Their core fear? Inadequacy. They feel like they're failing, so they shut down to protect themselves. And what does that do? It just confirms the protester's absolute worst fear, that they're being abandoned. It's just this tragic, perfect, self-fulfilling loop.
Okay, so if you're stuck in this dance, you're probably thinking, well, we just need to talk about it more, right? That's the advice everyone gives. But why doesn't it work? Why does just talking so often make everything so much worse?
I mean, look at this. It's a pretty bold statement, right? The advice to be honest is actively harmful. But in this specific high-stakes context, it is absolutely true. Think about it. When one person is already halfway out the door psychologically, forcing some raw, let's just be honest conversation, it's literally like throwing gasoline on a fire. It's almost guaranteed to just speed up the end.
And for the partner who's thinking of leaving, they're in this impossible spot, a total no-win situation. They really only have two choices, and both are terrible. Option 1. They offer up some sanitized, watered-down version of the truth that doesn't upset anyone, but it also resolves nothing. Option 2, they finally unload the full weight of all that resentment they've been carrying, which, well, it just detonates the entire relationship.
And what's happening on the other side? For the partner who wants to stay? Pure biological panic. The second they feel that threat of disconnection, their nervous system just goes into red alert. I mean, the logical part of their brain completely shuts down. So what happens? They either collapse and start pleading, which just confirms the leaver's fear of having to be a caretaker, or they go on the attack, getting super defensive, which then confirms the leaver's belief that, see, this relationship is toxic.
And that right there, that's exactly why you need a totally different approach. You just can't ask two people whose nervous systems are completely flooded and terrified to sit down and have a calm, logical conversation about their future. It's impossible. So, what does a different kind of help actually look like? Let's get into it. It's something called separation counseling. And I really want to stress this is a completely different thing from what you probably picture when you hear couples therapy. It's a very specific process designed precisely for this limbo state, for when the commitment itself is the big question mark hanging over everything.
Just look at this comparison. It says it all. Traditional therapy, it starts with the assumption that you're both committed.
You're both there to save the marriage, and you're ready to work. Separation counseling starts from the exact opposite place. It acknowledges that, hey, maybe you're not all in. And so the goal isn't to push you toward a fix. The goal is to get you to a place of absolute clarity so you can make an honest, grounded decision for yourselves.
So, what does this path actually look like? What does it involve? The key thing is, it's not just one big chaotic conversation. No way. It's a highly structured process, a clear path, designed to do one thing: get you to that point of clarity.
It really breaks down into 4 clear phases. First, you just establish the truth. You name what's really happening in the room. One person is leaning out, one person is leaning in. Second, you map the whole history of the disconnection. You trace that wall to pain from the very beginning. Third, and this is so important, you go underneath all that protective armor of anger and numbness to find the real primary emotions hiding there. And finally, you try to create what's called the missing experience, which is a moment where truth can actually be spoken and, more importantly, received without anyone getting defensive.
And again, I have to say this one more time because it's so important. The point of this whole process is not to force a decision. It's not trying to push you to stay or to leave. It's about equipping you, giving you the real, honest, emotional data you need so that you can stand at that threshold and finally, clearly, choose your own path.
I love this metaphor because it gets at the ultimate goal here, which is to achieve what you could call emotional sovereignty. So many of us, to avoid getting hurt, we build these massive walls around our hearts, and we call it being independent. But true strength isn't a wall. A wall is just permanent isolation. True strength is a drawbridge. It means you are in control. You can lower it to connect when it's safe, and you can raise it to protect yourself when you need to. Okay, so this whole journey brings us to the end, where there are really 2 possible outcomes. And what might surprise you is that both of them can be seen as a path to freedom.
But first, we have to completely redefine what we mean by success. Success in this process is not just saving the marriage. No, success is achieving that absolute clarity. It's finally understanding your own emotional patterns. It's making a choice from a place of truth, not a place of panic. And most of all, success is finally ending that slow, grinding agony of being stuck.
And that redefinition of success leads us to these 2 totally valid outcomes. Path 1, you stay, but you don't just go back to the way things were. You rebuild the entire bond on a new, secure foundation, what's called the sovereign us. Or there's path 2, you leave, but you do it with grace, with genuine understanding, and with this profound sense of peace because you know in your heart that you looked at it from every angle.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? That's the key takeaway. In the end, it doesn't matter if the engine of the relationship starts up again or not. Just achieving clarity, that is a form of freedom. Making an honest choice for yourself, that is a form of sovereignty.
So I'll just leave you with this one last question to mull over. What if the goal isn't to stay together? What if the goal is just to become honest?